Alright guys, welcome back to Marvel Duel Pro Academy, where we talk all things Marvel Duel. My name is Jonathan Snow. With me today are the two other pro players, and they are Faith and HorribleChopstick. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys.
What's going on?
Sounds good. So today's episode, we have a lot of things to talk about. We also have currently, this week is November 1st, 2020, our very first episode called Enter the Arena, where we talk all things the arena mode. But real quickly, we're going to go over the patch notes that we have happened earlier this week, with some balance changes of some cards, some visual effects, as well as a full description of the arena itself. And I think that's pretty much it that we're going to be talking about for this week. Also, we might tell in some things at the corner of the end of the episode. But let's begin with the balance changes that happened. What is it, October 29th, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes. So let's go ahead and get this started. So the first things first, with the new balance changes, it basically talks about the arena mode, which we will go in depth and talk about the whole concept. What is arena mode, aka draft mode, and as well as how specifically how you play that. And we're going to discuss that in very short detail. The next thing is we go over is the Road to Conqueror. So basically this is basically like a tier reward system where as you progress throughout the tiers of the game, such as from, I believe it starts from golds, silver, right? Silver, gold,
I think you get everything for every tier up. So yeah, moving from bronze to silver is the first one, and it's basically just a bunch of free stuff, which is awesome.
Yeah, so free is great. So as you progress throughout the ladder tier, and I believe the highest cap is like 30,000 points in Conqueror mode, which is pretty insane. But you do get, points for, the more you play pretty much, and the progression. So to me, honestly, I do like that. Free cards, free legendaries, free card backs, all that stuff. Free emotes. I love that.
I was about to say, I figured you were going to lead with bonus emotes. That's your favorite thing in this game.
Yeah, so we have that, and that's really great, and I think that's a great thing. I don't know if this is just a one-time thing or this is going to be like a monthly, reset of every season. I think this might be just a one-time reward system.
It is, yeah.
So that honestly, I think that's cool with that. And then we have card backs in the store. So if you have never gotten like exclusive card backs that was in the past seasons, I believe they're there as well.
Except for the tournament one. You can't get that one.
Yeah, I really wish.
So we just got to rub that in a little bit. Sorry, man. Look, you have all the emotes, so we got to have something. The other two of us have to have something on you.
It sounds good. And then we have one of the craziest changes that we have currently is Tony Stark. So Tony Stark, this is the first thing it says. When you summon him, this is the previous skill, by the way. When you summon him, you get to select a random equipment card, and you gain gems equal to double, triple, quadruple the cost of the equipment that you're going to send to your opponents. For example, if you see a 4, 5, or 6 cost equipment, you give it to your opponent, and if you pick the 6, you'll get double the rewards and that. But this time around, I believe this is actually a really good balance change, and definitely you guys pitch in on this one. But now what Tony Stark says is, when you play him, he does the same thing, but a 1-star, you only actually be able to get a 4 lower equipment, and then when you upgrade him to a 2-star, then you actually get the chance to have a 5-star equipment and 5 or below. And then when you actually 4-star him, you actually can get that 6 cost equipment and below. So what are your thoughts on this change, guys, about Tony Stark? Was it a necessity change? Was it great for like balance changes? What do you guys think?
I mean, he was the best economy card in the game, and it wasn't even close. He needed a little bit, because he was like the secret weapon for a lot of decks, and if you weren't playing him, you were so far behind on economy.
Yeah, I think he made his debut during the Tournament of Asgard against the Deaths, and I think when we all saw that card, we realized how busted he could be. He gives you, for example, prior to this change, if you just laid him down as a 1-star, and you found a 6 cost, he's giving you 12 instant gold. And he can chain off of himself and find another one.
Yep.
And if you get another 6 cost off of that, you're getting, 6 times 3 now? It's 18 additional gold.
So it's 30 total gems off of that, which is really easy to do, yeah. He was a little bit out of control. Honestly, this is a nerf, but it's not that much of a nerf, because they kept the multipliers the same, which was the biggest part. So, he caps out at 8 now, 8, 15 and still 24 instead of what 12, 18, 24. But he's still really good. I still absolutely jam him in every deck I possibly can.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because if you never seen him, like if you're only playing him and you never see him, like you feel super bad. Like you feel like you're so far behind.
Yeah.
And the way the old Tony used to be, even till now, I still feel like you're still kind of behind, but you're not like super behind, like a couple of turns. So I think this is definitely a necessity change. Probably maybe have to take a look at him a little bit more as we're progressing throughout the system.
I think there just needs to be more economy cards in the game. And I understand his superpower is being super rich, so I get it. It's thematic. Yeah. But I think other factions need economy cards to kind of offset that some.
Just looking at the change, though, it's like he went from, assuming max roll, he went from potential 30, chaining himself, just finding him twice in one round, to now chaining and doing a 4 and a 5 cost would get you 23. So it went from 30 to 23. So you're losing 7 gems with this change.
Right. It's not that bad. No, it's really not. Like, if you only find the 1-star, it's, that's probably the biggest hit where you go from 12 to 8 because that's 2 rolls. Mm-hmm. And that's probably going to be on turn 4. But honestly, he's still he's still a very, very good card, and I'm still playing him as much as I possibly can. Like this a lot of times the nerf makes something unplayable. This absolutely was not the case. This was a small change and probably a needed one as much as I love playing him.
Yeah, no, fair. I definitely agree with that. All right, so then the next card, overall.
Speaking of cards moving to unplayable status.
Yeah, everybody. If you did not know or was not aware how crazy this card was, it is Hawkeye. Hawkeye did get a recent balance change where I believe he was a 3 cost, and now he got upgraded to 6 cost. This was his previous skill, power 16 to 20. Yeah, let's see here. Yes. So after a friendly character with critical launches an attack, this card gains 50, 100, 200% more power. This was his old skill. And then his new skill is after a friendly character with critical launches attack, this card gains 20, 40, or 80 power. So with that being said, let's talk about how old his old skill was. 50, 100, 200%, I believe, yeah. Insane.
Simple breakdown for the people just listening is, assume he's at 2-star. Prior to this change, whenever another unit would crit, he would gain an additional, he was at 16, so he would gain 32 extra power each time somebody hit. So after the first time,
only the first time, right? Yeah.
32 plus 32 is 64, right? That was the first time. And every time after, you got to remember, every crit, he's gaining 100% more power. So the next crit,
percentage scaling was a problem.
Power.
Uh-huh.
Now,
the first time I saw one of these that had exponential notation to show what the number was and stopped being registered in normal numbers as far as how many zeros were on the screen, I realized that there could be a problem here. Now, fortunately, he never really took over the meta, right? He was pretty slow. It was hard to get it work. Like, it was really crazy when it worked, but it wasn't any crazier than getting wrecked by an ego or something else that could get really big, right? Once you get to a certain point of bigness, it doesn't really matter anymore. But when the bigness has literally 20 zeros after the number, and it gets into, like sextillions or septillions or something where, like, it's beyond comprehension as far as the size versus anything else in the game, right? The biggest stuff in the game besides this card was getting into thousands of power, right? 4 digits. Yeah. This was getting into literally 20 plus digits of power, and it was really dumb.
Expanded beyond the size
right.
of the card.
No, you had to have the E on there for the exponential notation to show how many zeros were on there. It was like, no, there's just like 5 extra zeros at the end. Don't worry about those. So once you get to that point, it's absurd. And obviously, this was just I don't know if they tested percentage scaling or not, or realized what was going to happen with that, but it was silly. Honestly, we all called for nerfs, and maybe we shouldn't have because it really wasn't that crazy. It was just a fun gimmick. I don't know. What do you guys think? Was it too powerful, or was it just a silly thing?
Well, yeah. Well, obviously, like for competitive play, once he starts rolling, you can't. Only a Thanos snap or maybe a lucky Moondragon hit will probably tame that, and that's not even guaranteed because he just grew so much. And for competitive play, definitely he needed a tone down. But it was fun to see the ridiculous numbers that got pumped out.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point, Chop, because in competitive play, it's not like Ego where he's retaining that power every round. So you could play around it by disabling the opponent's ability to get those crits off.
It requires things in combat to happen to work, whereas Ego or even something like Whiplash, you're doing before the round. You're already set up with those big numbers, and there's, your opponent has to have the hard removal to deal with it, or a Moondragon or something, as you said, John. But because you have to swing so many times with crit units to make this happen, it was you had to put in a lot more work effectively to get it there than some of these other big scaling units, but. Percentage scaling is often a problem in games. This isn't really that much of a surprise. If you've ever played any video game involving numbers ever in the history of ever, it's not that surprising that something with percentage scaling would get off the charts and people would find a way to break it. But, it just wasn't that viable from a competitive perspective.
And even
for sure. Like I definitely beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But,
I was gonna say, you mentioned Ego. Ego is not percentage.
Right. No. Yeah, it's he gains it's what double, triple, quadruple. It's worded like Stark, where it's a flat multiplier, but not a percentage multiplier, and that's a key difference in wording. If this had just been a flat multiplier where it was gains 1, 2, or 4x, as opposed to being percentage based, it probably would have been fine. But yep.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think we're probably not going to see Mr. Hawkeye anytime soon in competitive play.
Nah, he's not.
It's pretty much we're not going to see him. But it was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, and I mean,
there's still a 6 slot though that's really competitive. There's one is obviously reserved for Thanos, but the other one is pretty flexible.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like both Black Panther or Hyperion are probably still your best options there for the most part, unless you're doing something really specific. Black Panther is good in certain decks, and Hyperion pairs with Thanos so well. If you're running Thanos, you really just want to have them on the board because they work so well together.
Oh yeah.
But both of those cards are available for full dismantling up until the 6th, so another 5 days. So if you have them, definitely probably break down those Hawkeyes. I kept my Starks because he's really good. I broke down one just in case I cracked one in a pack and then could craft it back later. There's a little trick that you guys can do. When the stuff comes up, like when the Angela nerf came up, I knew I still wanted 4, but I instantly broke one down for the full refund. Because if I hit one in a pack, I would get that one, I'd have the full refund. Because any you pull after the change don't get the full refund. Only ones that you have when the change is implemented.
Right.
So you can always break one copy of these cards down, and then when you do your pulls, if you're saving packs for, say, an upcoming set or something, you can keep that one spot open in case you pull one, so that you don't have to craft it back, and you effectively get quadruple the value as far as the return crystals.
Pro tip.
That's why this is the Pro Academy. We got the pro tips.
And then I think the next thing here for like balance changes is gonna be like more optimization of visual effects. I know that they added like a little swirl effect to Ego whenever he destroys a person. Like you see like a little water swirl, which I think is pretty cool. A little nice touch. I'm a visual guy. I love when visual things like that happen.
Oh, can I cut in with my theory on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I told you this already, John. I think they added extra effects to Ego's kill because he's going to be released as a skin for Star-Lord. That's my theory. I have actually zero knowledge on this. This isn't any insider knowledge or anything. We do have insider knowledge on some things sometimes, but this is absolutely just guesswork, just pure speculation on my part. We saw Angela released as a skin, and she had a really cool kill animation, and she was already in the game. So I think upping Ego's video effects means that he's going to be the next skin for Star-Lord.
I like it. I wouldn't mind that because Star-Lord needs something because he doesn't have anything like hero skins and stuff like that. Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I think Star-Lord, Elektra doesn't have any.
Hela.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see like Daredevil like with Elektra and
that'd be sweet.
Something like to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. Mm-hmm. Then we have something that actually really was a huge game changer. It was kind of like a step back / step forward in a way. Once Marvel Duel has implemented the new speed up button, which if you guys are not aware, it is fantastic. It is basically helps speed up the animations, but apparently when they did that, they actually took a step backwards. Whenever you played a Tony Stark card, Iron Patriot, or back to back, those animations actually were a lot slower. It kind of ate up your time. I would think of like around 5-6 seconds of your time. Mm-hmm. Like it'll like you play the card and it'll visually pop up, and then it'll start searching, and then it comes back down. It's like Okay, it's a lot of seconds that's eating up my time, and if you play these cards in multiples, a lot of that take in competitive play. That's a lot of time wasted. So I'm glad they did fix that there. So any guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the first time after this, the previous patch was implemented, and I played Prime and Prime and Patriot, and had like 5 triggers to go through, and it ate my whole turn going through like 3 of the triggers. I immediately was like, hey, you guys sped up the animations for the combat, but you slowed them down in the store, and it's a huge problem now. It was yeah, and I was like, I can't play this deck. It's literally unplayable now. So they fixed it pretty quick, which is great. Just add the Starburst to this, and we'll be good.
And yeah, the first time I felt this was after it when I did arena mode, and I had some schemes go off. I had a back-to-back go off, and it felt really good.
No, the schemes have not been changed, so hopefully that gets added to this list.
Are you sure? It feels like they were sped up a bit.
Maybe. They're not on the list, but maybe they were sped up. But okay. This list says start Patriot and back-to-back specifically, so hopefully they were. That'd be great too.
And then we have just a little bit here, just to round it off. We have some bug fixes, and one of the primary bug fixes was cards being limited to, I think it was like 9 or 10 in the hand, and now they actually upgraded to 13. I know, Chop, you had an experience on live stream.
You're welcome, everyone. I did that.
Is this a change?
This is a change because on my stream I burned the 10th card in my hand, which was my 4-star Whiplash that I needed to win the game. Because I picked it up and made the 4-star, but because the way the game counts cards, it counted it as having 12 cards because the 2 extra copies were also back in your hand before the other 2-star comes in. Anyways, I sent them a huge clip of this, and I was like, guys, this is a real problem. I burnt the 10th card in my hand. Our hand side's supposed to be 10 cards, and that was a known thing already. But the very next day, they threw that in the patch, which was really cool of them to be like, hey, no, we're going to fix that. And they're like, I don't think this is a hard fix. This didn't fix the actual coding issue, which led to the problem, but they just expanded the hand size to 13, which is really hard to hit. I mean, even playing like Prime, where you're generating a ton of extra cards, it's really hard to hit 13 cards in your hand. So this was a great way, a good Band-Aid fix that should last for a while.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that's a good thing.
It's a byproduct also of how powerful Tony Stark is, and everyone just throwing those into everybody's hands.
When you have like 8 extra weapons that are all terrible, you get 8 extra hammers. Like, oh great, I'm playing Donkey Kong over here. for you old school.
And
gamers.
then we have just some descriptions for like Call of Arms, Green Goblin, Mantis, and Explosive Trap. Basically, just better wording on what the progression of the card does exactly. So
Green Goblin was the big offender there. The others I think were fairly minor, but Green Goblin was a very important change because initially it stated that all of your units that attack stunned opponents will receive no damage back, but it only applies to Spider-Verse, and it has ever only applied to Spider-Verse, but it never said that, and now it says that, and that's a really big wording change because a lot of players were confused by that. They're like, I'm attacking stunned characters, my Green Goblin says my guys shouldn't receive any damage, yet they are. So that it was really important. That one in particular was really important.
Okay. See, I didn't even realize that. So, see, even for us, we learn something new every day. So that is pretty much it for the maintenance with the December 29th maintenance update with entering the arena or the arena mode. So now I guess we're going to just segue into what is arena mode? What is this new game mode that we are currently interested in or has been released currently? And yeah, let's just get into it.
Sure. Faith, you wanna give the initial breakdown on this thing?
I want to use my powers for good.
Okay, so arena mode is basically your standard draft mode from other card games. It's separated into different archetypes in your starting deck, and you're gonna have 3 superheroes to pick from, plus a neutral pool. But your starting hand is gonna consist of 3 options for archetypes. So, for example, you have an armor blast archetype where it's an Iron Man deck, and it's starting you off with like a prime armor, a stealth armor, and a hydro armor, which is all you need pretty much for prime, and you can then maybe look for more invocation start cards as you go along. Or for example, you can go with more of a stun starter from Spider-Verse, which has like Spider-Man 2022, Sandman, and it has an interesting card there in Venom Carnage or Venom Mysterio. I'm not sure why that's there. And then there's certain ones that are better than others. For example, there's one that also has Guardians of the Galaxy, starting with like Adam Warlock and a Drax Assault. That's obviously a really good one to start with. In this, and I'm gonna go into later on the actual statistics of like, is this better mode as far as staying on turn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 compared to ladder? But so far, it's been a fun experience. I think they need to really look at opening it up to more times, because right now it's only like late at night and early morning, and I know myself and John have been fairly limited in playing so far, so hopefully that changes.
Yeah,
for sure. And that's my only gripe with arena mode is just the specific time frames currently right now. And the devs have said that they will be opening it up eventually, as as time progresses. So I think currently for right now, for those who are going to be viewing on the YouTube side of things, where for visually we're going to have a HorribleChopstick stream going up where he actually does play arena mode, and then you guys can actually, so basically while he's progressing through his moves, we're going to go ahead and describe what we're seeing, what is the steps of when you're actually drafting, and that's going to be pretty much
I'll have the video for this. This was cut from my stream. You're going to see my head there in the corner if you're watching. If you're on audio, don't worry, we'll describe everything that's going on, but effectively we're just going to talk through what the process is like on doing a draft for your first time. Faith kind of nailed it as far as like where you start. You're presented several packs of cards, so three packs of cards from 3 different heroes. You pick one of those. Now you are locked into that hero, and you have added those 3 cards to your deck. And then you pick again from 3 different heroes, some of which may have been in your first pack, some not, but the one you picked initially is already locked out. You already have that in your deck, and you're going to do that 3 times. You're presented 3 different heroes each time. You pick one of them, and those 3 cards, and those are added to your deck. And then after that, you're presented packs of cards from these heroes and from neutral. So always 3 packs of 3 at a time. I think at the end it's a 2-pack for the numbers to work out for 40 cards. One of the really interesting things to me about Arena, guys, is that you have both better and worse odds, right? Because you only take exactly 40 cards. The fixed cards are not added to your deck like they are in constructed play, but the fixed cards are available for selection in the neutral packs. So, there's less total cards in your deck, because I think in constructed play, it's 58 cards, right? There's 18 neutral cards or 19 neutral cards or something.
Yeah, okay. I believe so.
So I actually have the breakdown here.
Great.
We want to go over that now.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming different types of strategies where you stay on a shop for a certain amount of time. And we're going to assume for this experiment that in ladder mode, you're able to filter out, say, 6 of your cards, because it's fairly easy in ladder mode to pick up, 2 or 3 costs and filter it out. So We'll assume that the totals I'm giving, I filtered out at least 6 of the cards in ladder mode. So if we stay on shop 2 in ladder mode, after a couple rounds, we filtered out our 6 cards. We're left with about 8 cards in the shop, 6 of them being locked cards. Compare that to arena mode. Starting on shop 2, we have 8 cards. So it's already 8 versus 8 without having to spend extra rounds filtering. Shop 3, we're looking at in ladder mode, again, assuming after we filtered out 6 cards, we have 22 cards in our pool, with 12 of them being locked. If we look at arena mode, we have 16 in our pool. Compare that to the 22 in ladder. So now we're already starting to see it's easier to get the cards you want in arena mode.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes up, even the differences go up further as we go. For example, on shop 4, in ladder mode, it's going to be 33 in your pool versus in arena, it's 24. And then go ahead.
So basically you're saying that it'll be a lot easier to starburst or meaning 4-star a character card immediately playing draft compared to ladder.
Right. And it just, for example, at shop 6 in ladder, if you get there, because oftentimes you just die or don't get there, but in ladder mode, if you get to shop 6 and you've already filtered out 6 cards, you're left with 55 cards in your shop, with 21 of those being locked cards. And then in arena mode, On Shop 6, you have 40, so it's 55 versus 4. That's 15 less cards in arena mode. On
That
Shop
percentage
6.
just gets better and better as you scale up. And
wow.
I've found aggressively scaling to Shop 5 has been a really effective strategy in arena. Now, I know you guys have both had limited time. I've played 2 full arena runs so far. I've won 9 games in both of them, and have 0 losses between them as well. My second run was 8 first place and 1 second place. So it's definitely about, some of this is that I've drafted countless untold hours in other card games over the course of my life. So, like, I know what I'm doing as far as, like, you're drafting for value. You're not drafting for combos a lot of the time because it's not worth chasing stuff. Even though the percentages are better, it's oftentimes better just to win the value game consistently and, go bigger than your opponent. And I've seen a lot of my opponents trying to chase certain combos that are effective in constructed play in arena, and it often doesn't work because it's impossible to get all of the exact pieces that make that combo so deadly. So it falls a little bit short. It doesn't quite work the same way as you would want it to. And they're trying to force these things, and it's not playing for value. So, if you happen to hit in your draft, you hit everything exactly right, and you line up exactly the combo, that's great. But it's really hard to pull off in the draft. So a lot of the time, it's a different mindset than you would have in constructed play, where you're like, okay, well, I could roll and chase this thing, or I could just stay here and get as much board presence as possible, even though I lose some potential synergy value. So that's the big offset. Certainly going to 5 has been very beneficial for a lot of reasons, one of which, as you stated, Faith, is a lot easier to get the starburst, right? It's so much easier to get the starburst, in fact, that it's generally worth going to 5 to pursue them because you get the 6 cost cards out of the starburst, which they're, objectively the most powerful cards for the most part. The best value cards are on 5, the most powerful cards are on 6. This gives you the best of both.
Also, another thing to keep in mind is in arena mode, a lot of players don't exactly know how to draft well early.
Right.
And so you're not going to be losing as many early game rounds. It's a lot easier to survive to 5 without having taken much damage to your health total.
Yeah. I bag on Hush now constantly, but I see people taking Hush now and like trying to jam as many copies. I'm like, no, it's not going to work the same, guys. It's not going to be the same if your deck isn't tuned to manipulate it. So you're having your 3 Hush nows on the field at the expense of board development is just going to lose you a lot of rounds.
So basically in arena mode, basically once you select a card, so okay, for instance, you're selecting your cards right now, so you get always a 4 of and everything,
yes.
right?
Yes, we should have addressed that before. Any card you draft, you get 4 copies of. You have exactly 40 cards, and they're all 4 copies.
Okay,
yep.
And then we also have on the right side of the screen, if you guys see it on YouTube, when you're actually drafting, you actually can see you have level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And those play a really big role because now you get to see how many 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cost cards that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually have a system where you actually can look at your deck and see what type of spots are missing. So you could manipulate, in a sense, like where you want to get cards at. Like if you're looking for a specific combo, you can almost try to get those cards, but it's not guaranteed because everything's still at random.
Right.
But you can like try to potentially get there.
You can and should manipulate the card pool to your advantage. If you see something that's the same cost as something else you want in that keyword, you can buy another pack of cards to get another roll at that because you're going to have to fill that 4 slot or 5s or whatever it is. You're going to have to fill it at some point. So by passing on it early, you can then find that card again later or optimally find the card you want later and potentially even with the other cards that synergize well with it. So yeah, that's going to be a big part of drafting is by targeting out specific cards, and it's fairly easy to do because the faction card pools are so small. It's a little bit harder with the neutral stuff. With neutral, you're kind of presented such a wide variety of options because the fixed cards are included in that. But because especially some characters, right? We've seen Asgard and Stark get additional cards added to them so far, and I'm sure that's going to be coming for the rest of them at some point. But like if you're playing other factions, it's really easy to target out cards.
Yeah, I seen a lot of people go for the infamous intergalactic combo because the card pool is very small. So it's kind of like a lot of the key cards are like 4 drops. So you basically just pass up on all 4 drops until you actually specifically get the 4 drop units that you're looking for. That's what I was talking about, like manipulation wise. Also, I noticed too that your skins actually you can manipulate this game mode too. Like if you're running Superior Iron Man skin as well as Symbiote skin, you actually can get a little bit more bang for your value because I feel like that puts you up a little bit higher in like like progression, because you get to see more of your shop and you get to starburst so much sooner. So I feel like maybe the devs kind of missed out on that. I think maybe locking your skin to just the random 25 health should be a thing in the game, because like if you're able to have a pay to win skin, I feel like it gives you a little bit more of a lead advantage, in my opinion.
I agree that for this game mode, it's having the extra card skin is a massive advantage.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you, Faith? What do you think?
It only lasts for the first 3 rounds, so again, you're seeing the extra card, but it's not like in ladder where you can get that extra card, and if it's a one-off, it gives you more odds at filtering it out of your pool, and you don't get to keep it usually beyond shop 3. So I don't really see it as being too big of an issue.
All right, my argument that it's a bigger advantage here is that because your deck is most likely going to be worse and less tuned, there are many situations where you're going to find 2 very suboptimal cards early, finding 2 weapons or 2, like say Hush Now or whatever, right? Plus a Blood Axe, and you want to find 2 units. I think because the decks are less tuned, giving yourself the extra look is more important here.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like maybe that's maybe the thing changed. Say that again.
Starting with more health is also more beneficial here, because it just gives you an even bigger buffer to just go straight to shop 5 and just go classic turn 3 into shop 4, turn 4 into shop 5.
Sure,
it gives you a little more room.
Sure. It does, but as you noted earlier, you're taking less damage on average because decks are worse. There's still, I don't know. I think it's close, but I think it's a little bit better here than outside of here. But I agree with John. I think those should not play a part in Arena. I think it should just be the base only, and it should be a level playing field from that perspective.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, and it's not even because some are paid, some are out of the battle pass or whatever. I think it's just better game design to have that be equal in this particular mode.
Yeah, because if you're gonna randomize everything should be just completely randomized and fair playing field, just like gameplay wise.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
There's something we missed as well in the draft, which is at the end you pick your powers, and I think that's really kind of it's a little bit busted, because you guarantee which 3 you get, right? You're picking exactly the 3 powers, where each game it is not randomized. You're only picking 1 for each hero, and that's all you get. So like in this game, I took Grand Invention, and I'm just gonna force Grand Invention every single game of my run. I'm literally gonna play it 9 times, which is just absurd, right? It's because I maintain it's the best power in the game, and I will stand by that until they nerf it. It's really good.
No, I totally agree. I think maybe that should be randomized too. Like you don't even have the option to pick which one, because then like I'm saying, like if you're trying to go for a specific card combo, same thing, like like I'm saying, I'm hitting Intergalactic Galaxy for that very reason. You're gonna pick the best skill for it, which is give your card Assault, or you're gonna just be able to get Starburst and stuff like that. I just feel like stuff like, I think picking your skill should be not a thing, and just let it be completely 100% RNG what you get. Basically like a little surprise. I'm not too sure.
Right. Now, the problem making it the way that it is set up in Constructed is that not all players have access to all the skills, right? Because they unlock at level 10 and level 20 for a given hero. Whereas in the Arena, I'm assuming you're presented from the entire pool when you make your selection, so you can get a power you wouldn't otherwise have unlocked. So I guess that's kind of the offset, is that you can get a power that you haven't unlocked yet, but it is weird that in this mode, which is all about adding more RNG to your deck, there's a lot less RNG to the power, and you can guarantee you're like, okay, I know exactly what I'm taking for my power this game because it's the one I'm building this around. So
that's fair.
It's just strange.
You know what? Actually, a fair thing to put that as an assessment, because I talked about this the last podcast, where when you're building a deck. For instance, like I built the first time I ever drafted, I built a Grandmaster with Loki. I never owned Loki like at all. As much as I have a vast variety of card pool, I never owned the card. So I was like, you know what? Let me test this card out. And I think this is a great way, again, like for free to play players, if you don't have a specific card in your card pool, you actually can test it out. And then this will save you you're crafting materials later on, saying like, hey, should I craft this now? Like, it worked pretty good in draft. Maybe I can make a deck with it and actually utilize my material to go ahead and craft it later on. So, you know what I mean? I think this is also a nice way for players to be able to, you know, extend their card pool or extend their knowledge and learning how to do new combos and stuff like that, and then let them test it out for themselves.
Absolutely, and you do get one ticket for free, and there's a couple tickets on the battle pass, which will probably remain throughout the seasons. And you get, so there's the first run's actually free, and then you get one ticket per week beyond that. So, you know, there's ways to get runs, and we know that runs cost, it's only 1,500 gold for a run beyond those. So like,
15, okay.
If this was fully open, I'd be doing this all the time. Hopefully the hours restriction is lifted, because this is all I want to do. I've been playing it a bunch. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, in fact, this was my very first game in Arena, and you were in my lobby, John, and you actually beat me. You took first place in this game, and I took second place, and I was really salty about it on my stream, so thanks for that. Fortunately, you guys can neither read my lips nor hear the words that I'm saying on the stream, which is for the best.
Look at those card backs.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go. Thanks. Yeah, John's got the super whale card back, and I've got the tournament card back, so everybody's looking fresh.
I need some type of gold in my life, you know?
Right? You got to have that bling. But yeah, guys, it's fun. I'm really enjoying it as a mode. You know, we've talked about some of the ups and downs, but it's great.
Yeah, for ultimately my final opinion and thoughts is on Arena mode. Like I said, I was only limited to play it just a handful of times, maybe like 2 or 3 times throughout this week of release. But for what I have seen, I really do enjoy this game mode. I do like the aspect of being able to being able to draft as many different cards as I want, try new strategies. I do like the random RNG that is involved in it. I do like to see what other people are thinking, playing, and stuff like that. I do like how you can starburst a lot earlier with the limited card pool. But again, as the more releases of future heroes and future card expansions, stuff like that, the pool of drafting is going to be a lot more better. And I think that is going to play into a factor of when the more longevity this game has, the more RNG is going to be to draft, because you're going to have so many cards to pick from. And now you have to kind of scramble, like, all right, I can't try to focus on the Hella combo or intergalactic combo. Then I could just, you know, try to pivot to something else. So it's pretty cool. I definitely do like that aspect of it.
And that's why I'm such a big advocate of both drafting and playing for value in this mode. You kind of have to, because hitting specific combos is difficult. So it's, you know, that's a big part of it, in my opinion. Is, you know, just getting as much value out of every single turn as you can. You can see here, I'm playing my board very aggressively for that reason, that I'm scared of dying. Right, I'm down to 1 health already. I'm in 6th place. But yeah, you know, committing to the value portion is a really big part of a draft mode, where you just need to be like, okay, my cards just need to be better than my opponent's cards on the board. You know, they're less likely to have some sort of crazy combo or pursue a specific strategy, because you know it's harder to do that, because they can't just bring all that packed in their deck. They would have had to have both drafted it and then also found it, as opposed to just found it with card thinning, which you don't have.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, it's a different play style, it's a different mindset, and it's one that I really enjoy and have so far been really happy with. Yeah, hopefully we can just play all the time so that you guys can get more runs in too, because it's great.
No, for sure, I agree. What do you think, Faith?
Like I said, I like it, and you can't force combos, because if you go into the draft mode, for example, you're used to playing what's a random one out there, the intergalactic deck with Chewie, and you see on your opening deck or your opening choices a Chewie there, and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna build a Chewie deck here. You pick the Chewie one, and then you start going through there, and you're picking cards, and you get down to the end, and it's like, well, the only piece of that Chewie deck that you use in ladder is really just Chewie, and the rest of your cards you didn't really build to have much power. So
and Chewie's pretty actively bad if you're not built specifically to make him work, right? Because then he's a detriment more than a help. And that's kind of what I've seen, is a lot of people are trying to force that specific deck, and I've been just, you know, crushing them over and over and over, because you don't have the whole thing. You only have part of it, and part of it's not good enough. You need all of it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think we have some good info and opinions on arena mode. Again, like I said, I just wish that it was open up continuously 24 hours because again, the time zone restriction is very, very unfortunate for a lot of players that don't have the opportunity to play it frequently.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully that gets changed and it'll work out in the end. Now I know this game is currently only released in one region of the world, so like it'd be great if they catered to us here in the West, but ultimately we're not part of the target audience right now as much as we'd like to be, right?
Yep,
we're
that's
not
fair.
where the game is actually released, at least not yet. Hopefully they come
Not
around
yet,
and we get that glorious global release that we're all waiting for. And I have a lot of friends that are interested in this game that are not interested in playing it until it comes to an official release that they can get through either the Play Store or the Apple Store, which that's fair. I get it. I think the game is good enough to do a little bit of extra work to get, but I understand that sentiment.
It's one of the most polished games that it isn't global out there.
And it's incredibly unique, right? And like this just adding a draft mode to it is even more, right? Like that's more uniqueness to this game as far as how it plays, how it's this CCG hybrid with the auto battler and now with a draft mode, which is an entirely different playstyle. It's just in a really cool spot. So I really hope they leverage that and go for a big release, because I think this game is absolutely primed to explode in popularity if they open it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing, I guess before we end it off today, I guess we could do some type of meta weekly analysis of what is your experience so far in ladder mode. What decks have you been play testing? What decks have you seen a lot of players playing? And I guess we could get into that just very briefly.
What is ladder mode? Is that the other button that isn't the arena? I don't know what that is anymore. I'm sorry. I've only been playing arena.
Yeah. So right now I'm currently seeing a lot of intergalactic galaxy type of decks with AKA Chewy, with Moonstone. What's the other guy's name? Ron. I forgot how to pronounce that name. There you go.
Ron Yog. Good old Ron.
I think honestly that deck needs to be some type of tuned up, because it's super like unfortunate when you're playing against it, especially like around turn 6, turn 7. If they get their combo, it's pretty much hard to just get rid of them. What is your thoughts on Intergalactic so far? Should the devs take a second look into the game for the deck strategy? Like, who should be getting nerfed, not nerfed, touched? I don't know. Any thoughts?
I'm just gonna be super brief on this, because I think during next week's show we're gonna dive into this topic a lot more. But yeah, at the moment there's really 3 meta decks, and 4 if you count Whiplash, which you see occasionally. But yeah, you have Drax and Ego, both variants of Guardians of the Galaxy. You have your Chewy Last Words deck, and then you have the stun wrist deck that's going around. But I don't think any of them really necessarily need to be nerfed. There's a sort of healthy rock paper scissors balance between them.
I will say, as the progenitor and somebody who has probably played the most games with the Whiplash deck, it stomps all over the Chewy deck, and it's not even close. So like I don't find it to be a problem, but that might just be because of the deck I play. Maybe it's not diverse enough, but honestly it beats the crap out of the Chewy deck, because you can, at the end, you can just sell down to 1 unit having a giant Whiplash, and their multi-triggers become single triggers, and they lose basically all of their power on Marvel, and you laugh. So.
All right, I guess I should be playing Whiplash.
You should. Anytime somebody's like, "What do I do against Intergalactic?" I'm just like, just play Whiplash. It stomps all over that deck. It's a hard deck to pilot, though. Like a plan. So you definitely need to practice with it, and you have to work pretty quick. I'm really glad they changed the animations in the store to be a little bit easier, but you're cycling a lot of cards. You need to understand when to value, when to go all in on Whiplash, when to not go all in on Whiplash, because it's not going to be worth it, because it's really, really easy to overcommit to Whiplash on a given turn, and then you don't have anything left for the following turns because his buff only lasts for 1 turn. So you really need to manage your resources very carefully with that deck. So It's not particularly beginner friendly.
Mm.
You definitely need to practice with it, but it's definitely a really good answer to the intergalactic deck if that's what you're looking for specifically.
I know in one of your
sounds
arena
like a
runs,
plan.
you had both Whiplash and Prime in the same deck.
That's
And-
this one that we're watching right now, yeah.
And so the thing about that is, usually you would run Stealth instead of Prime, but
Right.
when you have it like this, you have Prime benefiting from all the earlier invocate effects, and you can like hold him until the last round or two to
And then-
fuel your Whiplash.
And then you sell them to make a giant Whiplash in the last turn, yeah. And I do that multiple times during this run, yeah. It's
do you think that's something you're looking at incorporating into your ladder style deck?
no, I think Stealth is still better. I think Stealth is probably the better pair for either one of them, right? You want Prime Stealth or Whiplash Stealth, but I think Prime Whiplash is probably too greedy for Constructed. You don't need to benefit on both ends in Constructed. You can just do one or the other, and it's good enough most of the time.
Right.
And they also have different 4-drops typically you want to be running with the deck, right? Like with Prime, you need to be running Patriot because the value is just insane. By the way, you can see John here just stomping with a 4-star Malekith and a 2-star Loki that's just getting completely out of control. So thanks for doing that. I really appreciate it.
I had to test out Loki, man. Actually,
Yeah, he worked great.
Playing this game, I actually crafted 4 Lokis because of it.
Yeah, no, he kills me right there. I finished second. I came back up from 1 health to finish second, but he got me in the end. And you guys can't see. I use the little closed caption block, right? And I cropped it out for us to watch this because I just want to focus on the gameplay. But under the stream where I can see it on my screen, I'm talking about John stream sniping me because I was salty. So thanks, man. No. Yeah, so anyways, we can kind of go more in depth on Constructed next week. I'll make a point to play more, and maybe the meta will be a little more settled. And yeah, but as you said, Faith, there are definitely 3 common meta decks. I think Whiplash absolutely has a place in the meta, as it's incredibly good. I've had a really high win rate with it this season. It's definitely lesser played than Intergalactic or you said the Drax deck. I assume you're talking about the Scarlet Witch Drax deck, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an evolution of the previous Scarlet Witch deck to now incorporate the now buffed Drax, who is really good in it. And then then still Ego. Yeah. I know I still occasionally will see the crit deck running around, but obviously without Hawkeye at the top, it's probably not quite as good. Actually, there's another deck I think that belongs in the meta that we can talk about, and that's 2-drop red.
Yep.
2-drop red.
Yeah, where you're playing all of the red aggressive 2-drops. You're playing like Outrider and Agent and Spider-Woman and Rocket, and then you just build a giant board of you can Starburst all of them very easily by doing aggressive thinning, and then you just flip them all into 6-drops at the end and get and then go for a Thanos play. But the way it scales because of Outrider is really absurd, and I think that's a deck that absolutely has a place in the meta, and that's probably a deck that a lot of like top end like speed climbers are probably playing because it's fast.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think that's probably another one that you'll see out there, especially if you run into some high end players that are looking to get a lot of points quickly. It's pretty scary and can push you out of a game with high stars in really early rounds by like 4. So
yeah, no, because if you're starbursting to 4, you're taking 4, 8, 12 damage and like turn 4. That's like game over pretty much.
Yeah,
that
no,
sounds pretty
it's
deadly.
it's very easy
look
to
into that
deal
one.
12 plus damage on turn 4 and kill somebody. It's
Oof.
yeah, that's definitely a deck that's running around out there, and it's not something I've seen necessarily a tune list for, but I know it's out there. I've seen some number 1 players on various servers running it to do the points climb.
It's easy to put together, and it has a very high likelihood of at least getting top 3.
Maybe that's a deck we should feature next week. It's something I've actually intentionally shied away from doing any YouTube videos on because I don't want to spread it that much. But maybe it's enough time now, right? If we push it for next week, maybe we can maybe it'll be settled enough, and we can do that for our deck tech next week, since we did Arena this week.
Yeah, no, that sounds fair. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Release the real spooky tech
for those who. Oh no, it's gonna be meta. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for today. Today's video or today's podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching today. Marvel Duel Pro Academy. I just want to clarify this too. This series is specifically for everyone, all types of caliber of players, brand new players, intermediate, even pro gamers themselves. We're here to talk about everything and anything Marvel Duel related, as well as updates, current meta, analysis, nerfs, buffs, everything you name it. We're going to talk about it in this show, and I really hope that you guys definitely take a listen to or watch the videos and stuff like that. And also feedback. We definitely would like to have some feedback. Your guys' thoughts is on visually, sound quality, anything to help improve the show. Will definitely make it for your more enjoyable experience. Any thoughts, guys, before we wrap it up today?
I have some technical notes that I want to hit real quick as far as the show goes. So this is not about the game itself, but we're now on Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and Spotify, and soon we will be on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, and Overcast. So if you use any of those services, please subscribe to us there. You'll get notifications when new episodes go up, and also please leave us reviews there if you enjoy the show. That helps us out a ton as far as getting to the top of various categories and being recognized in gaming categories on different services. So if you use any of those, even if you're watching the YouTube videos, it would mean a lot if you just went and subscribed to us on whatever your podcast service of choice is. I know Apple's the big dog, so we're still waiting for approval on that, but I will certainly be putting it out on Twitter when that happens.
Sounds good.
That's all. Yeah, just want to let you guys know we're growing, and we're growing where you can find us. It's not just the video. We do have audio only versions for those that are on the go, as the world is slowly starting to open back up and people are on the go more and more.
Sounds fair. Like on your train ride, car ride home.
Exactly.
Going back from work to home. Anyway, I definitely do appreciate you guys being here today. For those who are watching, listening, thank you so much. This has been the Marvel Duel Pro Academy. My name is Jonathan Snow. Under me is Faith, as well as Chopstick. Definitely find them on their social medias. We're gonna have links to literally everything where you can go ahead and watching this as well. And thank you guys so much. And we'll be back next week. We're probably gonna be talking about the meta. Probably some new deck ideas that we've been tossing around. And if there's any type of new updates, new spoilers, hopefully maybe new heroes on the way, we'll definitely let you guys know in that episode. So with that being said, I think we're out of here. And
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.